Welcome, readers. We're becoming such great readers, aren't we? We've learned all about prefixes, which are word parts we add to the beginning of a word to change that word and its meaning. We've also learned about suffixes, which are word parts we add to the end of a word to change the word and its meaning. We've even learned about that tricky schwa sound where a vowel does not make the sound that we expect it to make and instead makes the schwa sound that can sound like or I instead. Well, today we're going to use all that we've learned to practice decoding or reading words by dividing words into syllables. Remember, a syllable is a word part that has one vowel sound. We can split words into syllables and then put those syllables back together to read the entire word. There are some tips that we follow as we divide words into syllables. First, we have to remember that every syllable has one vowel or vowel team. This is always true. We can pay attention to this by placing a dot under each vowel. Remember, our vowels are A, E, I, O, U, and often the letter Y. Then we underline any vowel teams, like the EE, where we have more than one letter, but it only makes one vowel sound. E, or IE that can also say E, or OO that can say oo. Vowel teams can stay together in one syllable because they're only making one vowel sound. Then we can start dividing our words into syllables. We can divide between a consonant and a vowel, between two consonants, or between two vowels. One thing that we remember is that we always keep digraphs together, which are two letters that go together to make one sound, like the TH that says th, or the CH that says ch. We often keep together consonant blends, which are two consonants that slide together to make sounds together, like bl and sn. We're going to practice using these tips as we read some words together today. All right, we're going to start by placing a dot under each of the vowels we see in this word. See if you can find the vowels before I do. Well, first I see the vowel O, then I see U, and then I see the A. Now I'm going to look for any vowel teams. Do you see any vowel teams here where two letters, usually vowels, go together to make one vowel sound? I don't see that because all of the vowels are separated in this word. So I know that this word is going to have 1, 2, 3 syllables because each syllable needs one vowel sound. Let's get started by dividing our word into syllables. I know that the N has to be in the syllable with the O because N is a consonant. It can't make its own syllable without a vowel. So the N and the O will stick together. Now I need to decide what to do with the C and the T. Should I put them together with the N and the O? Should I put them in the next syllable with the U? Or should I split them up? Well, I know that when we have two consonants in a word, we often split between the consonants and put them in different syllables. Let's try it this way and see if this makes a word that we know. If it doesn't, we can go back and change it to see if we can find new syllables that might help us read the word accurately. We have our first syllable now. Now we need to make a syllable with the U. Just like before, our T is going to need to be in the syllable with the U because it can't be its own syllable since it's a consonant. Now our question again is, what do we do with these two consonants? Do they go with the U syllable or with the A syllable? Well, I'm thinking that since they're both consonants, just like before, we can split them into different syllables. So the R will be the last letter in our second syllable. Now, we have one vowel left and two consonants are joining that vowel to make a syllable. Since there are no more vowels, there are no more syllables in this word. Let's see if we can loop and swoop this word to read it using the syllables we found. Nocturnal. Nocturnal. This word is nocturnal. That's a word that I know. Nocturnal means that you are awake or active at nighttime, like those sneaky raccoons that are always trying to eat my bird seed while I'm sleeping. Great work with the word nocturnal. Now, let's see if we can use our tips to read the next word. Do you notice anything as you look at this word? Well, let's start by putting a dot under each vowel. I see two vowels there. Do you see any other ones? I see a vowel here and a vowel here. And I notice that the OA probably form a vowel team because I know that the OA together often make the long O sound. So I will underline those letters. I'm thinking that the R has to stick with the OA sound because it has to have a vowel sound in this syllable. And I think the D will slide over here and will split right between these two consonants. Does that look like that makes sense to you? I just noticed something. Let's pause for a minute. I noticed a word here that I know and a word here that I know. I know that this part actually has two syllables because there are two vowels, but since I know how to read this second word, I'm thinking that this is a compound word. And instead of finding the syllables here, I bet we could read this word by reading each of the parts in the compound word. Let's read this and see if we can make a real word. Road runner. Road runner. A road runner is a kind of bird. Is that a word that we know? It is, right? So what we did here was first we started thinking about the syllables, but then when we noticed that we knew this part, we didn't even need to break it into syllables because we were able to read that whole chunk without finding the syllables. That's another way to read words is by looking for bigger parts that we can read. A roadrunner, I learned recently, eats a lot of insects, but they also eat seeds and even rattlesnakes. Did you know that? That was something that I was a little bit surprised about. Now that we've had so much practice reading words with more than two syllables by chunking those words into syllables and even into word parts, let's see if we can read some of these longer words in a story about the desert. As we read this story together, see if there are any longer words with more than two syllables that you might need to chunk into parts to read the word more accurately. Read with me. Wow, the jackrabbit is amazing. Its ears act like an air conditioner to keep it cool. I also discovered some plants are inedible, which means you can't eat them. Did you notice any words in this story that you may have needed to chunk into syllables to read the word? One word that jumped out to me was this one right here. We read this word as conditioner. Let's look at this word and see if we can find the syllables that might have made it easier for us to read this word. First, let's put a dot under each vowel. I see an O and I. What else do you see? An I, an O, and an E. Now, let's see if we find any vowel teams, 2 or more letters that go together to make one vowel sound. The O's all by itself, so there's not one here. Same with the I. We have the I-O together, which I know often has 2 vowel sounds where the I and the O make their own vowel sound. But it's possible that this might be a vowel team. Let's wait and see. We'll come back to this in just a minute. Let's start by dividing this word into syllables. Our first syllable will have the vowel sound for the letter O. Then we see our second vowel sound starts with the I. That means that we have an N and a D, and we have to decide which syllable the N and the D should be part of. Well, I remember that we often split syllables between the consonants, so let's try splitting the word right there between the N and the D. Then I see our next syllable will have the I, like we already decided, and the D has to be part of this syllable because a consonant can't make a syllable by itself. Now I have the letter T followed by another vowel. So we know that a new vowel has to start at least here with the I, but we have to decide if the T will be part of this syllable with the D-I or part of this syllable with the I-O. What do you think? I noticed something. Do you see this T-I-O-N pattern? I know that this is a suffix that I've read before, which makes me think that the T should probably stay with the I-O-N to be part of this suffix. So that would mean that we should split the syllable before that suffix. Then I'm thinking that the I and O will make one vowel sound working as a vowel team. Since T-I-O-N is the suffix I know, I think that the next syllable should be split after the N and before the E, which has to be in our new syllable. And that leaves us with ER, which is also a suffix I know. So I think that works out perfectly. Let's read this word together. Conditioner. Conditioner. That sounded almost like a real word, but I think that we need to try this again using the schwa sound for the O. Let's use the sound when we read this word again. Conditioner. Conditioner. Conditioner, like in the phrase air conditioner. When we see long words like the word conditioner, we can remember that we can split these words into syllables so that we become more accurate readers and are able to read these words correctly.
This program is made possible in part by the Michigan Department of Education, the State of Michigan, and the W.K. Kellogg Foundation. Additional support by viewers like you. Thank you.